I cannot think of a more accurate statement right now than the fact that everything that you desire, your success and your growth, and everything you've been dreaming of to turn into your actual reality lies beneath what you have been avoiding. In today's podcast episode, I'm not only going to break down exactly how you can start applying and going after these things that you've been avoiding, but also shifting your mindset into believing and knowing the truth, which is that it's only going to not just live a more fulfilling life, but a happier life and a life that really truly is in alignment with what you deep down want.
Hi, my name is Pernilla, and this is my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I'm absolutely obsessed with anything related to personal development. And well, to grow, we got to challenge our norm. And so on this podcast, we chat about life and how we can challenge our normal way of living it to make it greater than we could have ever imagined. Just one little belief, habit, bold move, and challenge at a time.
This topic is something that over the last week or so has just continued to pop up in my life again and again and again, both within my Challenger community calls and with conversations with my family and with my best friend. We had a really transformative conversation the other day where every single thing just seems to come back to this idea that every single thing that we want in life is lying beneath the thing that we have been avoiding. And for many years, I've been both sharing and using this journaling prompt in the mornings, asking myself, what would be one thing that you could do today that would make you feel really proud of you today? And that really comes back to what is the one thing that maybe potentially you wouldn't feel like doing, but that when done, you're going to feel so proud of yourself because you've overcome some challenge or some comfort zone or just wanting to stay lazy. But instead, you showed up for yourself in a way that made you feel proud of yourself. As in, you did one of those things that potentially would have been easier to just avoid and not do. And before I start sharing these 5 different mindset shifts or exercises that I would like to share with you today, I would love to help you understand the power and importance of continuously throughout your day reminding yourself that you want to do the challenging thing. You want to do the hard thing. Our brain is naturally lazy. Our brain naturally wants to stay comfortable. It is how we are wired. But the constant reminding ourselves of the fact that doing the hard thing, doing the challenging thing, challenging our norm, which is the name of my podcast, is the thing that's ultimately going to lead you towards the life that you want. It's ultimately going to lead you to the success that you deep down desire. I don't always feel like creating content. I'm a content creator and I have many, many goals to impact a lot of people's lives. So on the days where I don't feel like showing up and doing it, if I remind myself of my goal of why I'm doing this, which is to help people live better, happier, healthier lives, and that I want to challenge myself because that's the only way I'm going to grow and get better. And I then, because of that mindset shift of wanting it to be challenging and knowing that that's a part of the journey, that I then decide to show up anyway, I'm going to eventually, if I keep showing up in that way, continue to impact more and more people's lives because I'm going to continue to grow in how I share my messages and how I am creatively inspiring other people to doing these things that have helped me in my life. I don't always want to eat healthy, but if I remind myself that I want to do the challenging thing, I want to be healthy, and no, that's not always going to lead to me having that instant gratification, but I want it to be challenging because I know that down the line, that's what's going to make me feel at my best. It's what's going to make me feel more fulfilled, most energized, and living an aligned life. No, I don't always feel like working out, but if I want to achieve my fitness goal, then I want to choose the hard because that's what's going to down the line lead to me reaching this goal and making myself feel the most fulfilled and proud of myself. No, I don't always want to put myself out there and share my thoughts like I'm doing on this podcast episode because I constantly, every single day, I'm being judged by what I share on this podcast, but especially what I share on my Instagram, for example, or YouTube or TikTok. I'm going to be judged, and that doesn't feel comfortable. I don't want to be negatively judged, but it's a part of the journey. I want to challenge myself and learn to love myself to such a degree that I no longer value what other strangers think of me over what I think of me. I want the hard. I want to take the challenging route. So that's just like a mindset shift that has really impacted my whole way of living when I remind myself of it. Because when I do keep that in mind, that yes, maybe my brain doesn't feel like doing this challenging thing right now, but I remind myself that I want the challenging, I want it to be hard, then it allows me to take actions and make the journey more fun and make me feel so proud of myself. And also just take the right actions if I remind myself that, oh, wait, yeah, maybe this doesn't feel comfortable, but I want it to be hard because that's how I grow the most. And something I've been doing for the last week, I've done it in the past as well, but just in the past week, what I've done in the morning, which is also going to be a part of one of the journaling prompts for my February Transformation Challenge journaling exercises. I create these journals for the people who join my transformation challenges. And for February, I really wanted to be all about embodying and stepping into this badass version of ourselves. And the meditation I'm going to be creating, that is, I've already kind of developed, I just need to do the recording, is also going to be about every single day aligning ourselves with this highest version of ourselves, this version of ourselves that does not allow fear or hardship to hold us back from doing the thing, becoming the thing that we deep down want to become in our life. And this exercise that I've been doing for the last week, and that will be a part of the journaling challenge as well in February, is writing down a list of everything I would feel like avoiding today. I'll find my list right now, actually, to be able to give you some examples of what some of the things I would just feel like avoiding if I wasn't aware that I would want to choose the hard, the challenging route, which is sprint for 10 minutes. I would want to avoid that because that feels uncomfortable AF. But I also know it's going to make me feel freaking proud and incredible once I've done it. I would want to avoid going all in on my workout. I would want to avoid making one exceptional reel today rather than like filming maybe 3 all right reels, but like actually putting so much thought and attention into one perfect, exceptional reel. I would want to avoid starting a new public speaking speech, like starting to create that. I would avoid doing 20 minutes of stretching. I would avoid stopping eating at 6 p.m. I've noticed that my digestion and everything in my body just feels so much better if I stop eating at 6 p.m., which for me is like 2 or 3 hours before I actually go to bed. So that's something I would feel like avoiding because late night snacking, oh my goodness, I love it. But I also know it's something I'm avoiding because it's hard. But if I were to not avoid that, I would actually ultimately feel better inside of my body. I would avoid studying Roth IRAs. It's like I invest money every month. I started doing this thing and I don't actually understand what it is that I'm putting money into. And I've been avoiding studying where my money's actually going. And that's something I would avoid. So you could start off with just making a list of 5 things every single day that you would, if your lazy brain were to make the decisions, you would avoid. But the power of writing down and gaining awareness on what it is that we're avoiding and then continuously reminding ourselves that the thing that our growth and our success lies beneath what we're avoiding, I believe, for me at least, the awareness of having this list of things I would be avoiding, it makes me naturally push myself further in doing those things. I'm not going to do all of those things in one day, but by every day just becoming aware of what I would want to avoid, then I have the awareness and then I can make the choice as to whether or not I actually want to do the thing. So simply having the awareness will lead to more action is my belief, at least if we remind ourselves that we want the challenging route, we want the hard route because we want to grow. Growth for me is one of my highest values and I deeply want to continuously grow. And so having that awareness makes me automatically take more action towards those things that I have been avoiding, which leads to constant growth. Now, the third step is when you have a list of, let's say, 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 different things that your comfortable brain would want to avoid, is identify the single most impactful task you could do today that really would have an impact in your life, in your fulfillment, in your proudness towards yourself, in your growth towards your business goals, your family relationships, whatever one thing you feel would have the single most impact in your life. Circle it and ask yourself, why would it be important to do this. That's number 4. Reminding yourself of why would it be important for you to no longer avoid this one task. And sometimes, at first we come up with pretty general reasons why. But there is this 7 whys method theory where you ask yourself why it would be important to do this thing that you've been avoiding, let's say. Then you answer that, and then you ask, so why is it important to feel that? And you then repeat that 7 times. To give you an example, let's use my sprint as an example. Why would it be good for me to do a sprint today? Because it would make me feel good. Why would it make me feel good? Because getting my heart rate up makes me feel good. Why does it make me feel good? It actually makes me feel good because it's extremely challenging for me to sprint. It almost feels like I'm about to die. But pushing myself to that extent, even though it's hard and challenging, makes me realize that I'm really capable of doing challenging things. Okay, well, why is it important for me to know that I'm capable of doing challenging things? Because I have often made myself believe that I'm pretty weak and I'm not capable of doing challenging things. And then you can go even deeper. You just ask yourself 7 times. It can take you all types of places, but it could be well, why have you made yourself believe that you aren't capable? Well, that's because when I was a child, blah, 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 blah. So you go deep into the root cause as to why it's important for you to do something. And for me, it's if I do this challenging sprint today, it gives me such confidence and power in myself. And that is something I have been lacking since childhood. And the more I feel that inner power and strength, the more I'm daring in my life, in all areas of life, to be more bold, to go after the things that I want. And as I have made very clear, growth is one of my biggest values. So it fulfills me when I dare to be bold and to grow and to do these challenging things in my life so that I can continue to grow and live out all of my dreams in my life. So get to the bottom of why it is so extremely important for you to do this thing. And in a moment, when I've shared the 5th step of this journey, I want to share how I've applied this and how I had this really powerful conversation with my friend the other day, and how we've both made commitments to ourselves for the next 30 days to commit to this thing that we have been avoiding, the thing that really impacts our life in so many different ways. Because the 5th step is to commit to doing this for 30 days, or stick to the promise, the habit, whatever it is that you've been avoiding. Somehow make a commitment to yourself that involves 30 days. Because if we do something enough for 30 days, as we all know, the more we do something, the more the perspective towards it, the feeling of how hard it is, changes. I've had many times in my life where I'm just using sprints for an example today, because it was one of the things that came up in my journaling this morning that I would want to avoid today. But in the past, I've challenged myself to do these morning sprints every day. And on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, it felt really, really hard. But then on day 5, it felt a little bit easier. Day 6, it was a little bit easier. And on day 30, it was still feeling torturous to get your heart rate that high and sprinting to that extent. But the more you do something, the easier eventually it gets to get it done. It may still feel as uncomfortable, but you get more used to the discomfort, which makes it easier to show up consistently and do the thing. And like I mentioned before, the more we challenge our norm within that one thing, it compound effects in all these other areas of our life, which makes us dare to be more bold and brave and show up within these other areas of our life and do the things that potentially we've been avoiding within those areas. So make a commitment to yourself to do this thing for 30 days. On my Challenger call a couple of days ago, one of my beautiful community members, Ava, she had listened to a previous podcast episode that I'd made on how I had done one fearful thing a day. I don't know if she'd listened to that episode or if I had shared that I'd done that at one point, every day, done something that I was fearful of. But at least she had made a commitment to herself that every single day for 30 days, she would do one thing that she was afraid of. It was day 4 of her challenge, I believe, on that day. And she'd already gained so much joy and fulfillment and proudness out of doing this thing. And sometimes it would be small things, but those small things really add up when you do the thing every single day for 30 days. So really ask yourself how you can commit to doing this one thing that you've been avoiding, or maybe like she did, do one new thing every single day that you are fearful of, that you've been avoiding. The reason we avoid something typically comes down to the fact that we're scared of it. We're scared of failing, we're scared of looking foolish. It feels uncomfortable. We'd rather stay comfortable. It's typically because there's something behind it that is not comfort, right? Something really powerful that one of the other. So Ava is the one who shared that she was doing one thing a day that she was fearful of. And then Grace, who's also part of our Challenger community, which by the way, if you want to join, I have all the links below. So you can be a part of our weekly, daily conversations and do our workouts and nutrition and journaling challenges and all of that. I'll put everything in the description below. But one thing that Grace from our community shared is that she says this sentence to herself, which is pass the test. So for example, you have decided, committed to wanting to work out today, but you look outside and it looks freezing and cold. She says, pass the test. As in, are you going to pass the test to go outside and do your workout? Again, with like nutrition, let's say you tend to avoid sticking to your diet. So that maybe be something that you choose to be the thing that you want to really take on for the next 30 days. On day 5, when you have the urge to go grab those cookies in the cupboard, which by the way, if you're trying to become more healthy and you know you have cookies in the cupboard, give them away so that they cannot tempt you, because you want to make the journey, like you don't have to make it hard on yourself by keeping all the cookies, all the cakes, all the ice cream in the freezer. If you're trying to get rid of your sweet tooth, like make it easy on yourself. But this idea of you're about to want to grab the cookies, tell yourself, pass the test. Pass the test. Will you pass the test? I just loved when she shared that she does that. It's such a powerful just saying that you can say to yourself. And then maybe potentially also you can use what I've been saying to myself is like, I want it to be hard. I want it to be challenging, because that's how I'm going to be badass. That's how I'm going to grow. That's how I'm going to make all these dreams and wishes and hopes and everything come true in my life. It's how I make it happen. And the other day when my friend and I were on the couch, it was full moon. And on the full moon, typically, it's about what are you wanting to let go of. I used to set goals on the full moon, but the full moon is more so about what you're letting go of, apparently. And the new moon is about setting new goals. So we decided that we each wanted to let go of one thing for the next 30 days. I'm sharing this because sometimes it helps having someone in your surroundings be involved to make the commitment even stronger. And we each shared this thing that we wanted to commit to letting go of for the next 30 days. And we each shared why the other person needed to do it for us. Like I had dug deep into why I needed to let go of my thing for the next 30 days. And that in itself is powerful, right? But a lot of the time, it can be more challenging to do something for ourselves and more easy to do something for someone else, because of course we're doing this 30-day commitment for ourselves, right? It's to improve our life. It's to grow within our life. But if someone else shares how it would impact their life, impact them if we were to stick to it, suddenly that commitment, the wanting the commitment, the willingness to go through the discomfort of sticking to the commitment becomes so much stronger and so much more powerful. So we each shared why it was so important and crucial for one another that the other person would stick to their commitment. And it completely shifted it for both of us, hearing why it was important. We each had different reasons, but for the other, that they would stick to their commitment. And I can share why it was important for me. I mean, we always see the thing in the other person, why it's harmful, the thing that they're doing, right, to themselves. And they don't always see it as clearly. We don't always see it as clearly ourselves. But I can really see the harm that this habit my friend had, which is like, I just don't want that to continue to happen in her life, which I shared because I wanted her to know how I viewed this thing that she's letting go of, the importance of her letting go of that. But I also shared that in my life, I have rarely had anyone be as committed to their goals and their commitments as I am. And I'm at a point in my life now where I really need that support. I need someone in my life who I can trust as much as I can trust myself, that when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. It's such an important value for me that when someone in my life says they're going to do something, that they actually do it. And I haven't had that in my life. And there's nothing wrong with that because everyone values different things differently, right? So this is on me. This is just my big value. But it's very important for me to attract people into my life now that I can feel supported within that area, who can help me push me to that next level, rather than me always being the person that is the most committed and helping them push through to their next level. We are the people we surround ourselves with. And so I shared with her that it's actually really, really important to me that she sticks to this 30-day commitment, because if she doesn't, it once again makes me feel like, well, then I can't make a commitment with anyone. But if she sticks to her commitment, it gives me that even deeper want to also to stick to mine, and that I have someone in my life who I can really trust within sticking to commitments. And it just makes me feel like we're both more committed to not just the commitment, but to each other and our relationship and our word to one another. And she shared with me why it was important for her that I stuck to mine, which was a different reason. But maybe you have someone in your life who you can sit down with and do this exercise with. Maybe each of you do your own journaling of like, what is the things that you're avoiding? Maybe you do it daily, right? But then at one point you come to this one thing that you know that if you completely commit to doing this thing or stopping doing this thing, the thing, whatever it is that you've been avoiding, if you feel like there's this one thing that really would have a great impact on your entire life, that you potentially ask one of your friends or a family member or your partner if they would be willing to commit with this with you, and ask them, like, first you figure out your own reasonings why, right? Like you go through that 7 whys questionnaire that I went through with you, but then you tell them that you want to know why it is important for them, for you to stick to this commitment. And if you want a group to do this with, we do these kinds of things inside of my challenging community. Everyone's so freaking wise. And it's like when one person has an issue, everyone can relate and gives just the most valuable advice. And we also, like a couple of girls, they were like, actually Anna from my group, she's like, I tend to just like avoid going to the gym early, and because I know that I can just go later in the day, but I also know I feel at my best when I do it in the morning. And I asked her, can I challenge you? And she said yes. And so I asked her, tomorrow morning, are you willing to commit to this group right now, that in the morning at 7:30 a.m., which is when she wanted to go, but what she had been avoiding? Are you willing to commit to all of us in this conversation right now that tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m., you are going to commit to showing up at the gym? And she agreed. She committed to doing it. And a couple of other girls wanted to do the same thing. And the next day in the group at 7:30, she sent us a photo that she'd done it. And it's just like that, when you have that support and you're in it with your community, there's just some power to it when you're not just doing it for yourself, but you're also doing it for someone else. I mean, that's a whole other topic that we can dive into, how if you continuously focus on helping others, like the people who are the most fulfilled in life are the people who aim to serve the world and serve the people around them, rather than those who tend to just focus on themselves and their own problems and what they're dealing with. They tend to be more miserable. And so if you're ever feeling low or miserable, like think of, how can I help someone else? But that's a change in a different area. I just hope that this episode reminded you of the power of doing the thing that you've been avoiding. And to just sum up what we spoke about, number 1 is create a list of everything that you have been avoiding or thing that you want to avoid as you go about your day today. And you can do this every day, or you can just write one long list, just like as a whole in your life that you tend to avoid, but that you deep down know would lead to some sort of growth. And it doesn't mean you have to do it, but as key number 2 of this step-by-step process is awareness leads to action. Just by being aware of it, I believe there's so much higher of a likelihood of us actually doing it, or at least like maturing the thought of doing it. And especially if we incorporate this thought of, I want it to be hard, I want to challenge myself because that's how I grow. Number 3 is getting clear on the number 1 thing that is holding you back. Identifying the single most impactful task that you could do on this list that would help you grow the absolute most in your life or on this very day. Number 4, remind yourself or simply become aware of why you are doing this. And you may want to incorporate the 7-step why process. And the 5th is make a commitment for 30 days. You may even just make a commitment to start off for 7 days. No matter what you feel ready to commit to, I just support you in committing in some way or another. Anna, who I shared, had said that she wanted to go to the gym at 7:30 a.m. in the morning, then did it. She said that she hadn't told her husband because she knew that if she told her husband, then she would kind of be forced to do it. And sometimes I think there's a lot of power in telling the person that we don't want to tell, because then we're going to be kind of forced to do it. And I just want to challenge your norm, challenge you to do that. Because what she did the next day when she said, hey, I showed up at 7:30, my question was, so are you now going to tell your husband about it so that you're going to be forced to showing up for the remainder of the week? And she said yes, she had told her husband about it. And just a little funny story that she shared with us that I just have to share with you because it's so amazing. She went to medical school for 8 years, and she shared that all of these beautiful people who'd gone through medical school with her had shared how they had done it because they wanted to help save lives and make a difference in this world. And the reason that she had ended up completing 8 years of medical school was because a comment her brother said, which was, you can't do that. I don't think you can finish medical school. And when her brother said that, she was like, I'm going to freaking prove you wrong. And so she today has completed 8 years of medical school because of a comment that her brother said. And that's just the power of the impact someone else can have on us. Luckily, she shared that she actually enjoys it and she knew that it was the right thing for her to do. But it's just a perfect example of how big of an impact other people's words and opinions and everything can have on us. So just a funny little story to end off with. If I could ask you a massive favor, it would be to go follow wherever it is that you're listening to this podcast. I want to just grow this podcast and get more listeners and have a bunch of other guests on this show this year, which, by the way, I was supposed to have 3 guests this weekend, but there is currently a fire going on that we are trying to not have burn all of our houses down in Los Angeles right now. So we have decided to postpone those, but they will be coming and I'm excited for them. But if you wouldn't mind following me, it will help me get more people on my show, make more better episodes. And if you haven't written a review yet, that would help me so much. I would feel so grateful as well. And if you want to join my coming February challenge, you can find, or just simply join here in the middle of January. You can join my community anytime you want. I'll put all of that in the description below. And I hope that you go out there today and do just one little thing that you have been avoiding, because it will compound effect and it will, if you continue to do that, change your life. And I like to be dramatic, but I don't even feel that's being dramatic. I really, really, really believe in this. So please just give it a try. Make yourself proud. And as always, remember that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm. Bye.